Today we're going to be looking at creating this sun in Photoshop, only using Photoshop filters and no stock images. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is create a new layer. Call it stars. I'm just going to put this in the background so that we have something to work off rather than the white. We're going to fill this with black, so you get your paint bucket. Make sure the foreground is black, paint it black. And then we're going to go up to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. This is going to create a lot of speckly noise in there. We want it to be on Gaussian and monochromatic and approximately 20%, and push OK. We're going to add levels. Increase the blacks to reduce the amount of speckles, and then increase the white slider to make the few that are there brighter. Alright, let's start making the sun. Start a new layer. We'll rename it Sun. Get your circular selection tool, the ellipse marquee. Hold shift down and drag out a circle. So to get started, we need to fill this with clouds. So we can go up to Filter, Render, Clouds. And then we want to go Filter, Render, Difference Clouds. And we want to do the difference clouds a few times to increase the detail. So you can just click at the top here, it says Filter Difference Clouds, and it'll just do that action again. And we'll do it a number of times. So that's great. So now we're going to add a gradient map on top of this to give it color. So go down to Adjustment Layers. And we want to choose Gradient Map. By default, it's black to white. You click on this black to white slider. And we want to choose colors, something in the realms of this. So I went with a medium orange on this side to a lighter orange. Then a almost yellow, white. And then a dark orange, maybe a little bit less. You get something along these colors and push OK. And now we're going to add the glow. So first let's resize this. It's quite big right now. So I'm going to grab my gradient map layer and the sun layer. I'll do a Command or Control T and just decrease the size of this. Make sure that your sun layer is selected, and we're going to double click on the thumbnail of the sun layer. That'll bring up this Layer Styles window. So what we're going to add is an inner glow. So you click on the word inner glow. So it's going to be normal with the blend mode, opacity around about 70, and the size at approximately 7. Then we're going to go to outer glow, and that's going to create the glow on the outside. Opacity 70, the size at 30, and we want to have a bright yellow. So this is a good start, but we need the solar flares that are coming off the sun. So we can create that. So we can do a new layer. We'll call this Flames. So we want to bring up the selection that is around the circle. So if you hold your Command or Control and click on the thumbnail of the sun layer, you'll see that you'll get the marching ant selection going around the circle. Make sure you're on the Flames layer. Right click on the selection, and we're going to change this to Make Work Path 1 tolerance. So that's going to change the selection into a path, which now we can go up to Filter, Render, Flame. So that will open up this Flames window. First thing we want to do is the flame type. We want to change that to Flames Path Direction. That'll make the flames start sticking out the sides. We want to tick the randomized length, and the intervals we want to bump that up to around about 60 and push OK. So it's a bit bright, so let's decrease the opacity of that. It's around about 40. So we can get rid of this path that's there now. You go to the Path tab in your layers, click on it and delete it, and go back to layers. Make sure the flames layer is still selected. And these are too obvious now. They're too flame looking, and we want to blur them slightly. So we're going to go up to Filter, down to Blur, Radial Blur. I want to have this at about 40, Zoom, and Best. Push OK. So we can decrease the size of these flames if you do a Control or Command T and scale them down a little. Let's duplicate this flames layer. Right click, duplicate layer. Let's call it flames 2. And we're going to move that layer underneath the sun. Do a Control Command T and rotate this just to give a bit of a difference. You could either increase or decrease it, whatever you like. Push enter. And we're going to give it a slightly bit of a different color. So we're going to add a hue and adjustment layer above this. So adjustments, hue and saturation. And we want to clip this using this icon here to the flames layer so it only affects that layer's color. You can drag the slider to the left and you'll see that you'll get a little bit of blues or greens, or the opposite way. So we want to get to something that's slightly different. You can also increase the saturation to make it brighter. So now we're going to have some smears coming off this to create those sunbursts. So go to the smudge tool, increase the strength to about 70, and then use your artistic preference to kind of smear these rays out a bit. Give them a bit of a turn. So just to make this pop a little bit more, we're going to add a curves layer on top of this. So go to adjustments, curves. Make sure your curves is on the top of the stack. We'll increase this a little bit here and drop this down. So that's going to really make it a lot brighter. So that's it. You've created the sun. So you can play around with this, increase the flares and change the coloring to suit whatever you'd like. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more videos.